good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz. Now, tonight, we have a very special guest, and I believe we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and we'd love your questions and input as well. But before I bring my guest on for tonight, let's get a little familiar with him. Take a look.
Is it just me, or does anyone else find it oddly coincidental that two different country musicians released two different songs with videos from opposite ends of the political spectrum that sparked controversy? Is that just me, or is anyone else picking up on that vibe? And do you think that with the removal of Jason Aldean's song and video from CMT and the artists that stood with Jason Aldean that removed their projects from CMT, do you think CMT is going to pick up Tyler Childers and his new music video? All right, guys, let's spread a little bit of positivity this morning. Before you scroll, I've got a personal challenge for you. It's super easy to argue and disagree, and we've got a lot of topics nowadays that are controversial, and everybody has their own opinions and their own beliefs and their own morals and this and that. My challenge today is Stitch, duet, leave a comment on things that you believe that we can all agree on a basic level, or the majority of us anyways. Like, I'll go first. In the movie Titanic, at the end of the movie, when Jack and Rose find the floating door in the ocean, I firmly believe that there was enough room for both Jack and Rose on said door. Or in the wintertime, when you get out of bed and it's a little chilly in the house, there's nothing like slipping into a pair of pants that just came out of the dryer. Or at the end of the day, coming home and taking your pants off. Or ladies, taking your bra off at the end of the day. What are some things that you guys that think that we can all agree on a basic level? Leave a comment, Stitch or duet this, let me know. I tell you what, them boys down there in Montgomery, Alabama, they got to learn a real lesson about what happens if you get to messing around, and they got to find out. And I'll tell you what, they's in the wrong, and they got everything they deserve. It's like they got the shit kicked out of them, and I'm proud. But that one boy that swam across the daggone water, like Michael Phelps, and got out swinging like Tyson, that's my new hero right there. I think he created a sport, actually. If it's not a sport, that needs to be a sport. He wasn't playing. But, yeah, if I'd have kept up with him swimming, I'd have been right there with him, and I'd have been swinging on them white dudes. That's just how it is. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. And that right there is what that Jason Aldean song, Try That in a Small Town, that right there is what that represents. Ain't got nothing to do with color. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And them guys were wrong, and they found out.
And with no more ado, let me introduce you to tonight's guest, Hooligan. Say hello to everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me be on the podcast tonight.
My honor, my honor. Is there anything you would like for the people to know about yourself before we get started?
I'm Hooligan. I run the Hooligan's Way channel over there on TikTok. I have a lot of conservative values, but at the end of the day, my values are rooted in my belief in God, and it's never my goal or intention to go out of the way to disrespect anyone. And I believe that, like I said in that video, right is right and wrong is wrong.
Fair enough, fair enough. That is a very good and admirable standpoint to have. To start off, right now, here in the United States, there's a somewhat of a push for there to be more socialist programs and somewhat of a push for things to stay where they are. Where do you fit in there?
So me personally, I don't know that socialism is the answer, but I also feel that our system currently is broken. I don't know what the correct answer would be on how to fix it or how to move forward. I know that we have to. There's a lot of big issues out there, and until we can kind of unite as people and begin to, because the real problem I believe is the government, and I believe that we're divided, and I think that we're meant. It's like their goal is to keep us bickering and arguing and keeping us divided, and until we can come together as a people, it's like and realize that this rift is being created intentionally to keep us at that point. I don't think that we can get to a point to where we can correct our government. It's like the government is what needs to be corrected. Now, what form of, uh, as far as the economy and everything like that, I don't know how we move forward. Um, just from the history books and what you see in the past, it's like socialism kind of tends to start out good and then kind of end badly. But I believe that we're on that same track with our current system too.
Okay. Just because I don't want to misunderstand what you're saying. So historically, you're saying socialism has started out good and then ended bad. Could you give me an example of that, just so we're on the same wavelength?
Um, you can look back into Nazi Germany. A lot of the same things happen there. It's like going into socialism and stuff. My problem with socialism is like me and you had kind of messaged back and forth. Is I believe that there are a lot of people out there that work, but just like what our government does today, I believe that our government puts a lot of incentive into creating a situation where it's more sometimes advantageous to have that dad removed from the family. It's like to have the single mom. It's like with the kids. I believe it's like and I know here where I'm at, and where I'm at is mostly white. I live here in Arkansas, and it's a mostly white population. But what I see a lot is generational type behavior as far as like government assistance with food stamps and insurance and stuff like that. It seems like as soon as some people get to that point where they're considered an adult at 18, they're already looking for a way to try to legitimize that they have something wrong with them or they have a disability, and try to get their disability check started and try to get their food stamp started and stuff like that. It's like, so I believe when that incentive is created, there are people that are going to take advantage of that system. And I believe that, you know, people like you and me that work at some point are going to say, hey, we've all got to put our fair share into this system.
Okay. Okay. Um, One, if you haven't figured out, I'm a huge, huge history buff. I teach history a lot. That is like my passion. I think the biggest misconception and what starts off a lot of confusion in people is Nazi Germany wasn't a socialist regime. It was called liberal fascism. That's what they were under. Now, regarding like the generational like welfare, completely get what you're talking about. But that kind of goes now, are there people who legitimately want to scam the system? Yes. When I lived in another city, I sat at a table with a woman who was trying to put together a plan to scam the system. So yes, that exists. But for the most part, capitalism kind of causes people to get stuck in that perpetual cycle. Perfect example uh, is the Walton family that owns Sam Club and Walmart. The vast majority of their employees working full time have to rely on assistance to live. The problem with assistance in the United States, it puts a cap on how much you can make. They don't make sure you're at a livable wage before they snatch the benefits from you. So that dollar raise may be the difference between your family eating next month or not. Um, a lot of the disabled and elderly communities are the biggest benefactors of these. And it's not so much that people are seeking out disabilities. We're coming into an age where the conversation regarding invisible disabilities is coming to the forefront. And people are no longer feeling shame and finally getting the help and getting the assistance that they need. And for a lot of people, the equipment they may need, the medication they may need, the therapist they may need are going to come from socialist programs. And also, when signing up for welfare, because I've had to research this multiple times, they have to go to school, they have to work. They're not just sitting around. It's a big myth that started intentionally from Ronald Reagan when he came up with the trope of the welfare queen, because Ronald Reagan's biggest thing was to take as much from the American people as a whole, as he possibly could. Our homeless population went up because he closed down mental houses and institutions and asylums. He was the first one on board with the whole build the wall thing, but he was screwing over contractors and shut down a lot of those businesses. The trainings for cops went down into the basement. So I think a lot of that is getting past talking points that you're absolutely correct. Politicians are putting out there because politicians aren't getting into that field, that career field, to help their constituents. They're getting into that career field to become wealthy.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree with that. I believe that on a local level, I believe that maybe some of our local and state representatives may still align with our thought process and stuff, but I think the further up the food chain you get, that it starts to become a lot more corrupt. And but that's what I say. It's like, I know that we are in a broken system. I have a very strong distrust for the government, and I know that a lot of things that are going on today and have been going on since the 60s were manipulated and were controlled, and it was all by the design. It's like to put Americans in the situation that we're in right now. And that's what I say. It's like it's going to take us coming together as a people to correct our government to put it on that right path.
I don't think the 60s put us on a path of a downward spiral.
I think that there was a lot of people in politics and in government. Of course, I go a lot deeper. It's like I believe firmly that there's a 1% elite that controls our government, and I think that both parties are manipulated. I don't believe that Republican or Democrat. I believe that there's a lot of corrupt on each side, and I believe that they're all working for the same purpose. It's just, who do you need in a certain position at a certain time to pass certain things and get the vote to be able to do that?
Well, yeah, because being a lobbyist is big business right about now. Being a lobbyist, we even see it in the Supreme Court, where you have tyrannical evangelicals sponsoring people's children and sending people on trips and putting together organizations. Yes. But here's the thing. In the 60s, the problem was an increased amount of racism. And it's when racism was really becoming covert, when they had to instill privatized organizations, when they were trying to keep together what were called segregation schools. So you had them fighting against, like, the Black Panther Party. That's where we got free school lunches, food pantries, community watch, but they didn't want to credit it for that. So it really wasn't about aligning the regular citizen with something that was going to be detrimental to them. It's just that racism affects everyone, and people who uphold racist ideologies think that they're getting a leg up on someone else, forgetting that it's going to affect them as well. So when you're shutting down all of these grassroots organizations that are trying to help people through grassroots socialism, the government, because the United States is nothing more than a big propaganda machine. They're like, I want to take credit for this, but I have to erase you out of history and make you seem like the bad guy. And that's what they're doing, because perpetually every year they're trying to chip away at Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, and things like that. And they're chipping away at it because they don't want certain marginalized communities to be able to benefit from them.
Well, not to mention just the misappropriation for funds and stuff like that. They say it's going to go into another program, and then they've got these backroom programs that are going where they're doing stuff that the United States people aren't even privy to. You know, it's like there's a lot of government overspending and a lot of funds that are being
there's a lot of misspending, and a lot of it is military misspending, where even the Pentagon is saying we do not need an increased budget. We need a decreased budget. We have military equipment that is now dilapidated, sitting out in deserts and fields, and it's unnecessary. And they do that because for some godforsaken reason, patriotism within the United States is attached to giving your life for an imaginary war that's not going to happen, and bootlicking the military as if they are the damn Avengers right out of the MCU. And if we would finally listen to those that are actually trying to do the right thing and stop backing all of these for nothing but wasting taxpayer dollars, congressional hearings and everything else, and look at what politicians are actually doing, because I say it all the time here. If somebody can go to a restaurant or retail location and go off on the manager talking about, I pay your bills, you have to do what I say, take that energy to your politician. Because if we actually stood up and made our politicians work for us, a lot of things would be better and would be different. The backdoor deals are why Kevin McCarthy is Speaker of the House barely. That was a backdoor deal. The backdoor deal was the rampant nepotism that went on during the Trump administration. The backdoor deals was the fact that the Secret Service allowed underage drinking during the second Bush administration. Those are the backdoor deals. When it comes to misappropriation, there's too many checks and balances, and things are way too public, and you have too many open to the public watchdog groups that need that money to fund their organizations. Most of the misappropriation you're going to find in the Red Cross, because they tell you to donate all the time, but what they don't tell you is that these people are given accommodations for 3 days after their house is burned down or after a hurricane has hit them, and nothing more. No other services, no nothing. St. Vincent de Paul that will tell you to donate your car, saying that it's going to go to someone less fortunate or disabled, and then you find it at a JD Buy Right or Buy Here, Pay Here lot. And a lot of the money that could be used to have a better infrastructure, the roads, which is a part of socialism, better training for police officers, which that service is socialism, to have social workers now considered first responders, and for them to respond to mental health checks and welfare checks, it could be going to that. For your fire departments to be better, and for us not to have privatized fire departments within a free nation, aka the United States, because there are places here in the United States that don't even have their own fire department, and they have to pay a fee before they'll turn on the hose.
Yeah, I mean, so right out here where I live, I mean, you can see I'm in the middle of nowhere out here. It's like in a lot of places where I live are super rural. It's like, and we have volunteer fire departments. It's like no one is paid, and they barely receive enough money to have the equipment that they need most of the time. And so we have annual fire dues that we pay every year. It's like it's like because they're spending money on fuel and water and equipment to be able to come out and help us when we need help. It's like, so that's part of how our communities around here work is sending in, and it's still not enough. And I think that there may be some federal grants and stuff that are shipped up, but like you're saying, it's not enough.
And that is socialism. Socialism is just the community coming together to help the community. And we have to see, the United States is so built on teaching everybody individualism, the individual. And that's what also keeps us divided, because we're indoctrinated over and over again to look at what's going to benefit us and us alone. You have to look at the whole nation as one giant community. What's going to help us? Will universal health care help us? Yes, because it will cut down the amount of sick days that people take off from work. It will cut down on the amount of sick days that children take out of school. It will help with the concentration, and we can move forward. We need to get past educating other nations, making them stronger, and building better and stronger economies for other people, because we want to keep ourselves in that originating mindset of the work week, the work day, and everything else. Because there was once a point in time that there was no breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. There was no, oh, you have to work 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever. You got up when you got up, you went and did some work, you took a little nap, you may have eaten. And then if there's some more work done, you go and get it. And we were a lot more profitable, and we were a lot more innovative then. And the community came together a whole lot more and a lot easier. We've been taught that socialism is bad because you have the top 1%, specifically politicians that are creeping their way up into that 1 percentile, that are reaping the benefits of socialism. Their paychecks, excuse me, are socialism. Their universal health care that they have for life once they are elected at the federal level is socialism. Their security that keeps them safe is socialism. Their free lunch, it's technically free lunch because they get lunch stipends. Think of it, millionaires getting stipends to pay for their lunch every day. That's socialism. We are paying for that. If we're already paying for it, why can't we now benefit from it? Because I think, wouldn't you benefit if, just to throw a number out there, say you're paying $200 a paycheck for health insurance. What if you didn't have to pay that? What if it went down to $20? And when you needed to go to the hospital, you could just go and there was no bill coming afterwards.
Oh, it would definitely help my family out a lot.
And that's what they don't want, because they sell you this idea that your company is your family, that it's a sense of pride to work yourself into the grave for someone else instead of working to live.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been trying to do out here. It's like I just got 11 acres just out here in the Ouachita Mountains, and me and my wife and kids, it's like we're just really trying to shoot for more sustainability to try to cut off that, just to cut that reliance. You know what I mean? It's like we don't, like I was telling you earlier, it's like I came from a pretty poor background, and I've worked hard to have what I have now. It's like, but we still don't make a ton of money, and it's paycheck to paycheck every week. And it just seems like everything else is going up. Wages are staying the same. So
and see, when they don't want to raise the cost of living effectively, which raises everyone else's wages. See, the biggest myth that they try to sell is, oh, if we say in this region, $15 an hour people can live on, they try to sell you this lie that if they raise the minimum wage to $15 and you're already making $19, they're going to put that person $4 below you and they didn't have to work as long or as hard as you. No, everybody goes up. Everybody's base pay now becomes 15. And whatever you were making above that base pay before, your pay goes up, which means you now have a bit of income that you can take to enjoy life, which means you can go to the movies, you can go to dinner. You're helping that part of the economy as well. And the more you help that part of the economy with taxes and everything else, then you can look around and your community will get better. The streets will look better. The buildings will look better. The schools will be better. And especially with the schools, when they are better and they are kept up to code, you have people getting out of those schools that have a better chance of doing better. And the biggest problem that we have now is that you have people who may have started in a small town and was like, look, I don't want to stay here because I'm going to be broke for the rest of my life. And they leave and they never come back. So that new income that they're making isn't in that small town economy, but you need it to be in that small town economy. And a lot of times when you've grown up whether upper middle class, lower middle class, or poor, you're surrounded in proximity to other people that are just like that.
Yep.
And because of the individualism, it kind of causes a competition. And when you have a competition, you have a lot of gossip. And a lot of people start to hate socialism and these programs because of the gossip behind it, where somebody could have been getting food stamps for 15 years. But as soon as they find out Mary Sue Ellen got food stamps and she may be able to cook a little bit better, make her food look a little bit better, but it still costs the same $10 that you spent on your $10 meal. Well, she got the food stamps, she don't work, and she doing this, and yeah, that's why she put her husband out the house. There are full families that get benefits from the government. That myth of you got to put the husband out, you can't get married. No, the only stipulation that they truly put on people that's heartbreaking, they put detrimental stipulations on the disabled community. There are people who are disabled that would love to get married, but they can't because so many of their disability benefits would be cut. And they need these benefits to live.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we have to take a step back, because I've lived around those people that sit and see one person get a delivery, because it's been ingrained in us that if somebody's poor, they can't have anything nice. They can't treat themselves. So they may have gotten a delivery that somebody just sent them for their birthday or an anniversary. She's stealing the benefits because look at her. She got a new dress. She ain't no way she could afford that because you know she get a check. And it causes us to then be divided from one another because we're conditioned in everything to look better than one another, instead of realizing we're all struggling. All of us are one failed paycheck, one delayed check, one I had to quit my job or my job burnt down, one check away from being on the street and needing the kindness of somebody else. I'm sorry, there's breaking news real quick, you guys. Trump is now targeting prosecutors that are investigating him with a new ad that he put out on Truth Social. Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. After the show wraps, I'll try to find more details for you all. But I really wish this almost 80-year-old man would just shh. But one question that I do like to ask people, what would be your ideal candidate that would represent you? And I'm not talking about a person that this person may not exist right now, like the characteristics that you believe would help where you live.
A farmer.
Okay, explain.
So, here where I live at in Arkansas, agriculture is huge, and I believe that I believe that agriculture as a whole plays a very important role on our economy. It plays a very important role for jobs. It plays a very important role in business. It's like in keep and running our country. And the guys that I know that are farmers, some of them have gotten to a point in life where they are full-time farmers. But a lot of the guys that I know are farmers plus working full-time jobs. They get up super early. They take care of cattle or whatever else is going on the farm. They go to work, and then they come back home, and they're out there after dark working in the fields, working on the farm. It's like those guys have a very good instinct and a very good understanding of how business operates. And I believe that the qualities that a farmer possesses, it's like of understanding people as individuals and how hard people have to work as Americans to be able to provide, and the qualities that somebody has to possess to actually want to be a farmer, because there's a lot of farmers out there. You know, it's like I don't know how a lot of people feel, but you know, one of the misconceptions around here is like, oh, farmers make a ton of money. I've worked in that industry. I've loaded feed for these guys, and I know them personally. They don't make a ton of money from being a farmer. They do it from the passion that they have, from working the land and being able to provide and help it contribute to the country. So I think someone from that background, it's like with that kind of mentality, I believe that they're going to go into that office and have a better understanding, a realistic understanding, because a lot of these people, by the time they get to where they're sitting up there on the hill, they've got a fully loaded bank account. And they don't ever have to worry about going and swapping their card for a soda pop and getting declined at the gas station. It's like they don't ever have that worry. It's like if they can fill up their truck to be able to get to work for the next week. It's like, so I think that these guys, it's like, would really have the capability of understanding what it takes. It's like to set out a budget for our country and to be able to do something that's going to actually represent the people and not just the wealthy upper class.
Yeah. I can see that. I will say you gave me some food for thought because I've never thought about farmers. Sorry for the pauses. It's
No, it's okay. It's like, and
some stuff over in my head.
a lot of these farmers also, it's like there are things that go on. It's like through certain farms. Like right now, I work for in conservation. It's like I work for a county conservation district, and we work a lot with farmers. And there's programs that if they do certain things, it's like we'll come in and it's like, and there's cost share programs to be able to help these farmers to achieve certain goals. And it's not like, you know, the conservation districts, that money, it's like everything that I do is through the USDA. So it's all, it comes down from federal funding. It's like, but these guys are taking money out of their own pocket. It's like to coincide with these grants if they qualify for them. And so they also have an understanding of where the money's coming from, how to utilize it, and then put it back into our economy. And they're used to dealing with politicians too. It's like having to do what they do, going to cattlemen's meetings and stuff like that. It's like they have a lot of interaction with politicians and stuff as well, and they have the same thought process that I do. You know, it's like these guys are going to the hill to get rich, and they're not really doing what's best for the people of this country. It's like, so I feel firmly that a farmer would possess the qualities that could get this country back into a good condition and actually represent the people instead of trying to do it for personal gain. Because it's like I said, a farmer doesn't farm for personal gain. I can just tell you that.
So it sounds like, here's an idea. It sounds like we need to pay politicians the median amount of whatever district that they represent and back people who genuinely have to live off of a budget. Because like I said, as I was pausing, because as you're describing farmers, the first thing that came to mind are teachers, because teachers have to deal with the duality of a budget for their homes off of an income that is not 12 months, and budget for school supplies because they don't have a budget coming from their employer.
Mm-hmm. I believe that teachers and farmers probably possess a lot of the same qualities. I can agree with you on that.
Now, I know that in the US, there is a huge push on how hard somebody works and how much they work. It is a concept that I struggle to understand. I'm being honest. I believe in work smarter, not harder, because if you're exhausted after doing all this working, you've amassed this money, you've amassed these things that you can't enjoy.
Mhm.
I don't want to possess anything that I can't enjoy. I don't want something to consume my life so much that my life is living me and I'm not living life. But because we have politicians who are not rich. One is a freshman senator who had to stay with friends in DC. And I don't know if he still found an apartment he can afford in the area. And we have infamously AOC, who has gotten a lot of criticism for being a very broke bartender. And even after being in Congress for a while, still being broke because she has student loans and previous debt to pay back. So is it more about getting people who understand and ignoring candidates that were born with the silver spoon in their mouth?
Yeah, 100%. It's like I think that a lot of the people that it's like so we do it's like but you see a lot of the people that are moving in, especially into the president's seat. You see a lot of times people it's like who have either acquired a lot of wealth during their time as a politician or came from some sort of generational wealth. It's like that they have been groomed their whole life to sit in that seat at some point. And I think it's been a long time since you've seen someone that just came from rural America that didn't have anything that really represented the real America. The
Okay,
one
what do you mean by the real America? Because I don't want to assume, if you haven't figured that out, I don't want to assume anything.
when I say the real America, I mean the people that are out there that keep this country turning. I'm talking about your bartenders, your waitresses, it's like your servers, it's like the people that are driving public transit, it's like the people that are out working the farms, it's like that are having to put in a ton of hours that don't have loaded paychecks, didn't come from generational wealth. It's like not that I have anything against anyone that came from generational wealth. It's like I hope to be able to build a legacy for my children one day and leave them in better shape than what I started. It's like, but there's a ton of, it's like, and I think that the majority of Americans out there, it's like we all have the same struggles. There's points in our life, it's like where things happen. It's like maybe you have a flat tire on your vehicle and it's like crap. It's like, how am I going to, it's like, I, I don't, I don't have a budget to start with. It's like I've got a budget, but by I get paid on Friday, and by Monday, it's like I've paid my bills and I have barely enough just to get back to work and do it all over again. That's to me, it's like those are the kind of people, the people that are out there. It's like making it happen every day. It's like that's what I consider like the the real American. It's like not to take away from anyone that lives in America. It's like, but I think that there's a lot of us out there that all struggle together. We just don't realize it.
Okay, so everyone minus the upper echelon, the wannabe aristocracy of the United States. I can get that. Um,
And not to say that all those people are bad. I just feel like that if you were brought up, it's like from the time you were born in a situation, it's like it's like came from money. Your parents came from money. You're from money. You really don't have the same mindset as someone that had to start at the bottom and has been an uphill struggle the whole way. They're proud of what they got. They're not where they want to be at yet. It's like, but they realize that they're not as in bad of a situation as they used to be. It's like real people. I mean, I think everybody can understand that struggle.
um, I do believe that financially there are a lot of struggles out there. There are a lot of other compounded struggles that not everyone will endure. And um, knowing the history and knowing what it takes truly to become a millionaire, I can't say that they're good people, because you can't be a good person when you're hoarding wealth and you're doing it intentionally by manipulation. And a lot of let me correct myself, the majority of generational wealth within the United States has ties back to chattel slavery. So, and in knowing that, and none of these people are giving back, the most that they'll do is make a video or put up a post asking other people to donate to these causes to help people out. Just
Mhm.
like Elon Musk told the UN, hey, if you can tell me how to fix world hunger, I'll give the money, which was just a load of BS. So he would look good on paper.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel a lot of the generational wealth that exists in America is old money and has come from doing other people dirty to get it, and it continues to happen. And that's what I say. It's like a lot of the people that are sitting up there on that hill. It's like not all. It's like I don't like to use everybody. It's like our words like that, but there's a lot of people that are sitting up there on that hill that came from that background.
Mhm.
It's like, and that's what I don't like about. That's what I don't like about our election system. I don't like the bipartisanship because I feel like that it's turned into just a big, huge popularity contest. And my personal opinion is, like I've stated before, Republican or Democrat, I don't feel like any of them truly, really care about us.
I can see that. But election, the whole concept of elections from the beginning was nothing more than a popularity contest. George Washington wasn't qualified for anything outside of manipulating his image in paintings, because for the remainder of time, we will never know what that man actually looked like because he had everything altered. Um, but he was elected, duly elected, the first president because of the popularity of his name. Most people, just like elections in school, it's popularity. My thing is, the country was never set up to be solely a two-party system. It's only been within recent generations that we've only had two predominant parties to choose from. The Tea Party didn't make it very long, but they were very racist. The Green Party is still out there, but they just toss out illogical candidates. The Pink Party has never put out a candidate. And there are other parties out there, but it's like nobody's taking it seriously. Do you believe that we should have more of a move to go back to a multi-party system?
100%. Yeah. I think that if we could get to more than a bipartisanship, if we could get to a multi party system, I, I can't say for sure, but I feel like something like that. It's like if we could wrap our mind around, oh, it's like I'm just throwing my vote away if I vote for this guy. It's like I'm just throwing my vote away. If we could get past that train of thought, it's like because a lot of us have been programmed to think it's like that if you don't vote for this Republican or this Democrat, you're throwing your vote away. And I think that it's trash. I think that way of thinking is trash. And I think that we do need more representatives. It's like from different areas with different ideas. It's like and give people an actual opportunity. It's like to put the people that actually represent us into that position. And I think that if we were able to do that, I think that some of the rifts that run between people in this country, I think would start to dissipate. I think we would have a better opportunity for finding and working towards that common ground because let's face it, I don't think you know that anyone truly is ever going to see just eye to eye on a lot of topics, but we can work hard to find common ground and we can both give and take here and there and come up with a common solution that we can all agree on. But like if that works for you, that would work for me too, you know. But I
No,
feel like that we've gotten to a point in this country to where we don't really work towards that common ground anymore. It's like we've got to a point where it's like a lot of conversations, and I'm proud to be able to sit here and have this conversation with you because there's a lot of people anymore that you can't sit and have these conversations without it going to a place of anger and just unreasonable, conversation at that point. And it starts to turn into name calling or just or whatever, it's like it's hard to have these conversations. It's like, but I feel like that this is how we make change and get to that point. But yes, to answer your question, I feel like a multi-party system would be a better solution than the bipartisanship.
You did make one statement that previously we were moving in, a forward motion, and people were coming together to have conversations. Um, Historically, that is inaccurate. There was one portion of the community as a whole, and when I say community, I'm talking about the whole of the United States, that were coming together trying to figure out how to make things better for themselves and just that community. It's time to start having the conversations where it is all inclusive. And in it being all inclusive, because I remember the uproar when the Honorable Associate Justice Ketanji Jackson was confirmed. So I have a question. Would you be open, if the person was duly qualified, to a woman as president?
Oh yeah, I would definitely vote for a woman. It's like if she had the full capability of, it's like representing the people, it's like the people of this country, it's like, and being able to carry through, it's like, and be able to fill that position. I have no worries. It's like about a woman running this country. It's like I know a lot of strong women. It's like my mom raised me. She's a strong woman. It's like I know women are perfectly capable of running a budget, running a household. It's like, and I know that a woman could run this country. It's like, so if it was a qualified woman, it's like that was able to put herself in the position to be able to campaign and run. Yeah, 100%. It's like I would vote for a woman.
Did you feel that Hillary was qualified? It's a safe space.
No, it's like I'm not going to say that she's not capable. It's like, but I do firmly believe, it's like I am from here in Arkansas, and I firmly believe that there is a lot of corruption that revolves around the Clinton administration. Now, I'm not going to say that Bill, it's like, didn't do some good things as president. It's like, but there was also things that I disagree with. It's like look back to '94 with his crime resolution, stop and frisk cops. Like, I think that's just super unconstitutional on it. You know what I mean? But, and I can't say, it's like, because I don't know. I haven't been there. It's like, I've not met these people. It's like, but there's a lot of things that just make you scratch your head and be like, is that coincidence, or why does stuff like this keep happening? You know?
I asked because I've heard very similar from a lot of people in Arkansas. But when I asked about Hillary, you immediately went to Bill's credentials. And do you think that is a stumbling block for women in politics? Because a lot of times people equate a woman's capability to the closest man she's associated with.
No, honestly, it's like, if you want to know my opinion, it's like really being factual. In my opinion, I think that Hillary has more power than Bill. I think that Hillary was a behind the scenes woman. It's like, you know what I mean? I honestly believe that. It's like, I'm not saying that Hillary is not a smart woman at all. It's like, she is. And, I just believe that there's a lot of controversy. It's like, and a lot of things that have happened. Maybe they can't be proved. Maybe no one wants to investigate it. I don't know. But I live in an area that's really connected. It's like, to the Clintons. I don't know if you've ever heard of Heifer International.
No, I'm not familiar with there. I'm sorry.
Heifer International is kind of a socialist kind of setup. You know what I mean? It's like, where it's like they'll come in and they used to do a lot of. They're Heifer National now. They've reduced just to the United States, but they used to do a lot of work in countries, and they would come in and show you, educate you in farming, and then, maybe give you a couple goats, a male and a female, and be able to start breeding goat and be able to build your own herd. The Clintons had ties to that and still do, and we have a very prominent lawyer here in our hometown that was part of the Clinton administration, and so there's a lot of ties here. It's like, and it wasn't too long ago, there was one of the Clinton aides over here at the Heifer Ranch, not too far from where I live. At the time, it was maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles from where I lived at. One of the old presidential aides from that administration had went to that ranch, hung himself with an extension cord, was shot in the chest with a shotgun. But the shotgun was retrieved like, I don't know, like 30 yards away from where he was actually shot. It's like, and then I got to looking in. It's like to the statements from the sheriff at the time, because the sheriff, there was a lot of stuff that came out at the end of his. People had kind of were ready for change, and so there was a lot of stuff that was starting to come out with our local sheriff. And he's under investigation for payoffs and stuff like that too. But it seemed like his statement was very, very scripted when they ruled that a suicide. So, like I said, this is all speculation. This is all allegedly. You know what I mean? It's like, but just me personally moving forward into a situation like that, it's like knowing that there could be a chance until proven. It's like I wouldn't want to risk that. It's like, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, once again, just randomly having conversations with people. A lot of people out of Arkansas that I've spoken to. Let me quantify that. They do kind of equate Hillary Clinton during her time in the White House very similarly to Eleanor Roosevelt, where it can't be quite confirmed all that Eleanor's influence had behind the scenes and if she took over the duties at certain times. Some people have even equated it to Nancy Reagan, who it has been confirmed that she had a whole damn astrologist advising Ronald Reagan on what to do. Like, can y'all stop using hotlines for life advice? Please and thank you. So
and that's another thing that's hard for me. It's like that's hard to overcome. It's like, especially like I said, the further up that you get, the closer to Washington and the closer to that president. Our party has become so polarized. I consider myself a libertarian. Okay, like I've stated before, I do have conservative values that stem from my faith. And so my faith does play a role in the person that I choose to represent me. Okay. But I remember a time where there were more conservative Democrats. And I remember a time when it's like, even Republicans weren't so far right wing. It's like everyone was a little bit closer to center. It's like, so there was a time where I felt like I could pick a Democrat that still represented my values and my beliefs. But like you said, it's like our government is nothing more than a giant propaganda machine anymore, and everything has become so polarized. There's not a lot of, as far as like liberals go, there's just so many values. It's like that I disagree with, that I have a hard time saying that this person really represents who I am.
I agree. And I'm old enough to remember a time where, unless I specifically knew someone was Democrat or Republican, I really couldn't tell you the difference. But once again, and I hope I'm not annoying you by my questions of clarity, but like I said, I don't want to misunderstand anything.
Oh, that's why I'm here for. It's like I want people to have a better opportunity to understand who I am and how I believe, and that the way I believe doesn't stem from hate or anything like that. It's like I still have a respect for my, mutual Americans and humans in general. It's like the human condition. I'm just, like I said, it's like I have my faith and my values, and it's like I try hard. It's like not perfect. Trust me. It's like I'm not perfect. I'll tell you that. It's like, but I try hard. It's like to be as best as I can. It's like, but I fail daily, and I'll never judge anyone else. It's like for what they're doing with their life. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility from my faith is to love everyone like the love that I've been shown.
That is a good way to be. Just for the sake of clarity, um, to you, what are conservative beliefs? Because, like I said, I don't want to assume, and I know that people define things differently for themselves.
So conservatives, being a conservative to me is number one. It's like keeping our budget in check, not overspending, and I believe that that happens in both parties. It's like, so that's not necessarily a disqualifier for anyone, because I think that both parties are guilty of overspending, misusing our budget. Um, a lot of the conservative values that I talk about are like what I'm talking about, stemming from my biblical beliefs, and I know that that's where it gets kind of touchy for a lot of people. It's like, and like I said, it's like I'm not here to offend anyone. It's like, but I'm just here to let people understand how I think, and I won't judge anyone. It's like, but um, I don't I don't condone homosexuality. If that's your lifestyle, it's like cool. It's like abortion's one of those things that I'm kind of split on. I don't feel so, and like I said, I'm not able to carry a child. It's like, so take it how you want. It's like, but my personal belief. Okay, so if it's rape, incest, it's like if my wife was due to have a child and I had to pick, it's like terminate the pregnancy or lose my wife. I would terminate that. I would choose to have that pregnancy terminated. But on the flip side, it's like I don't think that just going out and partying and making adult decisions and making a mistake, it's like, or putting yourself into a situation, it's like where you just didn't think about the consequences, is also a viable option to turn around and choose to terminate an unborn child either. Um, like I said, I know that that's sensitive topics, but it's like I want to be transparent and clear. It's like when you ask me, about my conservative beliefs, it's like those are issues for me. It's like that I look at who's representing. It's like, and some of the thing, it's the propaganda. It's like, it's especially with the whole, with the LGBTQ community and the transgender stuff. It's like I really honestly don't care what people choose to do with their life. It's like what kind of gets to me sometimes is just how everything's got to be so over the top anymore. How it's just got to be like, oh, this beer does this. It's like, and it's like I was totally cool buying Bud Light. It's like if they would have been like a lot of companies back in the day, it's like supported a lot of different causes, but it wasn't like boom, here it is in your face. You just got a beer can that said Bud Light. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's like it just seems like a lot of times now it's just here it is, here it is. It's like, and for me personally, it's a hard situation. I have a 1 year old son and a 4 year old daughter that's gonna be turning 5, and I try my best to pass my values and beliefs on to them, but also be respectful of the people that you're around. And it's hard for me to go into a situation. It's like when my daughter recognizes that that woman, or what, like that's actually a man dressed as a woman, and my daughter, my young daughter is asking me, why is that boy dressed up like a girl? It's like, how do you explain that to a 4 year old? You know?
It seems like the wrong thing has already been explained to that 4-year-old because one, when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community, it's not a choice because you didn't wake up one day and decide you were straight. You just knew that you were straight. And children are sponges. I'm a mother of 4. They pick up on a lot, a lot. What we say out of our mouths, what we do unconsciously, what we say around them when we think that we're whispering to someone else. And I've seen children around members of the trans community, around gay men, lesbian women, pansexual individuals kids don't care. The kids that do care, it's because they've heard over and over and over again that if someone looks this way, then it's wrong. And here's the issue with that. As a Black woman, historically, beginning back in chattel slavery, they have masculinized us in order to feel better about treating us poorly. And there are a lot of women who are born women, cisgendered women, who, according to society, look like a man. So we should just respect each other on that accord. Also,
Totally agree, and that's my point. It's like, as I
live long enough that see the whole Bud Light thing, companies are going to advertise and sell according to holidays, according to all sorts, because they want profit. And I'm old enough to remember growing up in a city where they used to have a steamboat festival. Coke, Pepsi, all the major beers used to put steamboats all over everything that were sold. During Black History Month, people want to put Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks on everything. But see, the thing about it is, it's not that these communities are making a big deal about it. It's the people who claim that they don't like it in their face that's throwing it in each other's face. Because when Bud Light did what they did, they had one sponsorship deal with one online social media creator. That creator made one video and went on and made 20 other videos. It was crazed conservatives, and I'm saying crazed conservatives, that took that video and started plastering it everywhere, was sending it to all of their friends. And that's something that we have to be honest about, because if you don't like something or something doesn't align with you, don't seek it out. Like, I love all sorts of music. The only type of music I can't seem to really get into is death metal. So guess what? I don't go seek out death metal. I don't sit there and wage a campaign and say, oh, this is wrong, this is satanic, don't do it. I just don't go look for it. So it doesn't come into my sphere. If I go into a store, I'm not a man. If I'm over by the pharmacy and I see a jock strap, I'm not about to flip. Oh, they're trying to get me to buy a jock strap. I'm not pregnant, have not been pregnant in damn near 30 years. My oldest child is knocking on 30's door. When I walk past a maternity section with a maternity big belly mannequin, I'm not sitting there going, oh, they're trying to convince me to have a baby. And that is what we are getting wound up in a tizzy to do, to keep ourselves separated. We're convinced that this person is making this choice, this person is making this choice, this person is putting it down my throat. No, it's your fellow people who have convinced you to have a problem with these groups of people who are tossing it down your throat. Because as you're sitting here, and we've had many conversations, you had no idea that I'm a very queer Black woman.
And like I said, I don't.
And that's my point. It's not being thrown in your face. People are just living. And then once they find out, like I have a good friend, I think she's still here in the comment section, that is a trans woman. Until a conversation was had that it came out that she was a trans woman, nobody was giving her any hate. Soon as she said that, all of a sudden it was, oh, I hate you. You're an abomination. You're a man in a skirt. Where you didn't know. You didn't know. And that's part of, because you brought it up multiple times, that there is that 1% that wants us to keep infighting. And part of that infighting is using, and it is, the tropes of white supremacy to go against any community that at this point in time, they're telling you, you can feel better than. We're not going to pay you more, but you can feel like we're paying you more because you're morally superior to this group. Oh, this group is beneficial to us now because now they got some skill sets we need to use. All right, what's the next group? What's the next group? Okay, this group, attack this group. They're the ones that are wrong. They're the ones that are wrong. And I can show you in that good Bible where they're wrong. And it's incorrect. It is incorrect because as a Sunday school teacher from preschool all the way through adults and the daughter of a pastor, the niece of a pastor, and the sister of a pastor, I can tell you the biggest thing that we are to do as Christians is to be in constant preparation for the return of the bridegroom and to keep our light trimmed and burning, meaning we are to be the light to pull people in. We have no heaven or hell to put anybody in, and Jesus is not outsourcing what he is supposed to do. We have no judgment on anyone. And the last thing we want to do is believe that we've lived a good life on earth and then stand and be held accountable when that book opens on our day and find out our elevator ain't going up, but it's going down. And in having good beliefs, and I do honestly believe that you are a good person. I don't want to leave you with the impression that I don't believe that. But
I believe you're a good person too.
I think that,
and look, it's like I
don't
have
more conversations. And if you'd like to come back and join some of the panels with people from different walks of life and really get an idea of the common struggles that you have and what their life is really about, I will definitely add you to those conversations. And I mean that.
Yeah, I would love to come back anytime. I've appreciated being on here. And look, hey, I have nothing but respect for you. It's like I said, it's like, it's not my role. It's like to judge anyone. I mess up on a daily basis. I'm nobody. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a long way away from perfect. I don't have any room to sit and say that anyone, it's like, is doing anything wrong. I just try to stay to what I believe is true to me. And that's what everyone else has to do too.
I completely understand. And I do want to thank you very much for coming on and having a conversation. And I told you it wasn't going to be a ruckus fest. I did tell you that, correct?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. I appreciate being able to have conversations like this for sure.
And we do have fun over here and on my TikTok page. We like to laugh. We also like to learn. So as always, I always ask anybody in the last few minutes if they have any final words that they would like to share with anyone. So do you have any final words on tonight?
And my final words, it's like, I think that a lot of you, it's like, kind of have a little bit better understanding of who I am. But I just want to reiterate that at the end of the day, we're humans first. We're Americans second. It's like, and we've got to get to a place to where we can start finding that respect and treating each other with love and putting our political views and everything else to the side. It's like, we need to learn how to love each other before we can move forward and actually heal this nation. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way as me, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that say the same things that I say, that they have, it's like beliefs in their faith and this and that. It's like, but they're the first one that's going to catch the stone. It's like, and they don't want to pluck the timber from their own eye, and they're super quick to judge other people. Like, and I just don't want to be put in to that community. It's like, I do have respect for my fellow human. It's like, I do have love for my fellow human, and I don't wish harm on anyone. I want to see everybody succeed and move forward. And but yeah, and that's about it for me.
All right. As always, thank you for joining me. And for everyone, if you'd like to find his profile, All Love and Education, check the description in the video. And just a reminder, in case you don't follow me on TikTok or didn't see the video, there is a new, and this will be a monthly contributing writer to the blog. So you can go to the link here or the link in my bio over on YouTube. And remember, the blog is called Camp Taz. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. And I will see you all tomorrow. And I promise I will update you all on the civilian space mission tomorrow and all the other news that has happened this week. I am getting the research done for you all and getting the clips. So once again, till tomorrow. And again, Hooligan, thank you for joining me.